رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. So Alhamdulillah, first of all we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for allowing us to gather here on the day of Jumu'ah, which we should know as Muslims is the greatest day of the year, and our Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam declared it as even superior to the day of Eid al-Fitr and the day of Eid al-Adha. So recently we celebrated Eid al-Fitr. So what did you do? You wore your nice clothes or new clothes, you wore perfume, you had a shower, you made many preparations for that, you had nice food, and then you will do the same thing again very soon when it comes to Eid al-Adha. So our Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam is saying that the day of Jumu'ah is the best day, and you should make the same sort of preparations for this day every week as well. And our Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he clarified in another hadith, Inna min afdali ayyabikum yawm al-Jumu'ah, that the best day is the day of Friday. And then he went on to say, why? Fihi khuliqa Adam. So Adam alayhi salam was created on a Friday. So every Friday we celebrate the existence of humanity. Humanity came into existence on a Friday. And then he goes on to say, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, wa fihi qubida, and Adam alayhi salam also died on a Friday. وَفِيهِ النَّفْخَةُ وَفِيهِ السَّعْقَةُ, and on this day of Friday, the trumpet will be blown to end life on earth. And on a Friday, we will all come out of our graves to be judged on Yawm al-Qiyamah. فَأَكْثِرُوا عَلَيَّ مِنَ الصَّلَاةِ فِيهِ, and our Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, then he said that on Friday, he told us two things to do. Apart from the fact that you have to make preparations as though it's a day of Eid, there are two other things he told us to do, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He said here in this hadith, that do a lot of salawat upon me. Salawat, saying Allahumma salli wa sallim ala Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, saying this constantly and knowing in your heart that what you are saying is, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, please bless and shower your mercy and generosity upon the soul of our Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and his family, wa sallim, and send him our salam as well. So the salawat, it means that may Allah bless him, may Allah shower mercy upon him, may Allah increase his rank in this life, may Allah help his ummah and his deen, and then sallim, may Allah also give our salam. That's what you're saying. And our Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he went on to say that your salawat, your salam are presented to me. They are presented to me. So I am told that by the angels, Ya Rasulullah, your so-and-so daughter in Oadby or Wigston sent 1,000 salawat upon you today. Your so-and-so son in Oadby or Wigston or wherever sent 100 salawat and salam upon you today. And then he sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala maintains that link between my body and my soul, and so I reply to your salam. And people who are pure-hearted and do a lot of salam upon Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, they will be blessed with his beautiful vision in their dreams, inshallah. That's what we should do. That's what we should aspire for. And then the second thing our Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam told us to do on Jumu'ah, apart from preparing for it like it's an Eid, apart from the fact that we should be doing salawat upon him, the second thing he said is reciting 10 ayahs as a minimum of Surah Al-Kahf. And there are many hadith about this. I've been through these before. That in summary, the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, anybody who recites 10 ayahs of Al-Kahf as a minimum on Friday, their sins for the past week will be forgiven. They will be under divine protection, and they will have a nur, a divine light, guidance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this world. But there's another interesting hadith which is not mentioned perhaps as much, which is that there's a very lengthy hadith in which our Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam mentioned the Dajjal. It's a very long hadith. I'm going to mention just one part of it. He said sallallahu alayhi wa sallam that when the Dajjal emerges, وَإِنَّ مِن فِتْنَتِهِ أَنَّ مَعَهُ جَنَّةً وَنَارًا, that the Dajjal will have a Jannah and a nar, a fire with him. فَنَارُهُ جَنَّةٌ وَجَنَّتُهُ نَارٌ, but actually his fire will be a paradise, and his paradise will be a fire. But interestingly, regarding Surah Al-Kahf, our Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, and this is not mentioned as much by the scholars, he went on to say, فَمَنِ ابْتُلِيَ بِنَارِهِ فَلْيَسْتَغِثْ بِاللَّهِ, whoever is tested with the fire of Dajjal should ask Allah for help. And then what should they do after that? وَلْيَقْرَأْ فَوَاتِحَ الْكَهْفِ, and they should start reciting, as they're going into the fire of the Dajjal, they should start reciting the first few verses, the opening verses of Al-Kahf. And what will happen as a result? فَتَكُونَ عَلَيْهِ بَرْدًا وَسَلَامًا كَمَا كَانَتِ النَّارُ عَلَى إِبْرَاهِيمَ. If you go into the fire of Dajjal whilst you are reciting the first few verses of Al-Kahf, our Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, the fire will become bardan wa salaman, cool and peaceful, tranquil for you, the way that the fire of Ibrahim alayhi salam, when he was thrown into it, it became cool and tranquil for him. So the Kahf on Fridays, minimum 10 verses and lots of salawat. And this is the duty of the parents and the elders to make sure that your children are doing this. Our Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, كُلُّكُمْ رَاءٍ وَكُلُّكُمْ مَسْئُولٌ عَنْ رَعِيَتِهِ. Each one of you is a shepherd, and each one of you will be asked about his flock. And then he went on sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to explain, وَالرَّجُلُ رَاءٍ عَنْ أَهْلِ بَيْتِهِ وَهُوَ مَسْئُولٌ عَنْ رَعِيَتِهِ. The fathers, this is for all the fathers. Our Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, you are like a shepherd for your household, and you will be asked about them. You will be asked whether you actually instilled that love of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in your heart. Did you sit down with your children on Friday and do some salawat on our Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? Did you teach your children and get together as a family every Friday and recite a minimum of 10 ayahs of Al-Kahf? And then for the mothers, وَالْمَرْأَةُ رَاعِيَةٌ عَنْ أَهْلِ بَيْتِ زَوْجِهَا وَوَلَدِهِ وَهِيَ مَسْئُولَةٌ عَنْهُمْ. Likewise, the mothers are responsible for the household and the children, and they will also be asked by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala whether they fulfill this duty towards their children of salawat and instilling love of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in the children, especially on Fridays. Did you ask your children every Friday, come on, let's get together, let's sit together as a family and read some salawat, Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and teaching them a story that will give them love of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in their hearts? Did we get together and recite Al-Kahf? So now inshallah I just want to move on in the next few minutes, because as you know that we are in these days of the celebrating the Jubilee over this weekend and since yesterday. So a few quick comments about what does Islam say about this? What is our attitude towards this celebration? So first of all, what we have to realize is that if we look at the seerah and our uswatun hasana, our Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, who is our role model, how did he behave towards non-Muslims and people of nobility and rank who had a high status? How did he behave towards them in mentioning their good qualities and celebrating their achievements? We have many examples of our Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam honouring such people, even if they were not Muslims, and in some cases even if they were the enemies of Islam. So we see, for example, our Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, when there was some tension between him and the Jewish community in Medina, and a Jewish funeral passed by, and he stood up sallallahu alayhi wa sallam out of respect, and the Sahaba said, this is the funeral of a tribe here who have this tension with us right now. And he said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, أَوَلَيْسَتْ نَفْسًا, is it not still a human being? Does every human being still not have a nobility? So that's why I'm standing up out of respect. So every human being, whether they are part of the royalty or not, even if they are not Muslim, our Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, with this, he showed us that you have to show them honor whilst they are alive, and even when they've passed away. And then we see that he sallallahu alayhi wa sallam sent the Sahaba to Ethiopia, and he praised the good qualities of Najashi, even though Najashi was not a Muslim at that time. And then we see that he, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, even though the Romans were his enemies, when he realized that they don't read letters, the royalty, they will not read his letter unless he puts a seal on it. He made a seal and put it on the letter, and he also wore jubbatun rumaniyatun. He also wore a Roman jubba, a Roman shirt, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So even that tension did not stop him from celebrating good aspects of other cultures and mentioning their good qualities. And then another example is that of Hatim al-Tai. Hatim al-Tai was a very generous individual, a very famous Arab known for his generosity. Now he passed away before the time of Islam, and then there was a battle where the daughter of Hatim al-Tai, she was in the tribe that was fighting the Muslims, and then there were prisoners of war who were captured. And when the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam realized that the daughter of Hatim al-Tai is amongst the prisoners, he freed her, and when he realized that her head is not covered, his kindness towards her is that he took off his blessed cloak and he covered her. He covered her with, he wrapped her in the cloak, and he honored her. He showed us how to honor women and how to honor even those who are prisoners of war. And he praised the good qualities of her father. He said, your father was a generous man. He was good towards his guests. And these are the qualities of a mu'min. He said that her father had the qualities of a believer. and he freed her and freed the prisoners. And then the daughter of Hatim al-Tai, she then traveled to Asham, and she told her brother that you need to come and meet this man and accept Islam, because you will not meet anybody who is more noble and more generous than this man. And so the lesson there for us is that first of all we should honor those who are not Muslim, and whilst they're alive and when they've passed away, and we should mention their good qualities. So if we see, for example, the Queen, we see that during World War II she took part in some military training to try and do whatever else she could as a teenager to help her country. We see that she brought a lot of stability to the monarchy when she became a monarch when she was only 25. We also find that when she came to the throne, there were only about 8 Commonwealth countries, and in her reign, that has increased to 54, and there are many benefits that the Commonwealth countries are gaining. We also see that there are many good qualities in her, like Hatim al-Tai, the generosity, that she supports something like 600 charities, and she has raised over £1 billion in charity. So if Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam can praise people like Hatim al-Tai and say he has the qualities of a mu'min because of his generosity and goodness to people, then we can also do the same. So the lesson for us here is to praise the good qualities of those who are not of our faith, and also that we have to remember that ultimately, however, we don't become obsessed with these celebrations. We don't become obsessed with these celebrities, because on Yawm al-Qiyamah, when we meet the King of Kings, that's our ultimate test. And meeting the King of Kings, that's what we should ultimately be preparing for and focusing on. So as we find in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on Yawm al-Qiyamah, when everybody comes out of their graves, He will say, لِمَنِ الْمُلْكَ الْيَوْمِ, who is the king today? لِمَنِ الْمُلْكَ الْيَوْمِ, who has the kingdom? And as we say in Surah Al-Fatiha, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Maliki Yawmiddin, that He is the master of Judgment Day. And there is also another qira'ah, you can read this in 2 ways. Maliki Yawmiddin, that He is the owner of Judgment Day, and Maliki Yawmiddin, Malik without the alif, which means that He is the king of Judgment Day. So Allah will say when we all come out of our graves, who is the king today? It's nobody but me. Nobody has a title anymore of king or queen. And then He will reply Himself, Lillahi al-Wahid al-Qahhar, only me, there's no other king nowadays. So that's what we should ultimately be preparing for and thinking about these days. So everybody would love to be treated like royalty. I'm sure we would all want that respect. So our Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, okay, you want to be treated like royalty? You want to be treated like a king or queen? And then He told us how to do that. He said sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Man qara al-Quran, whoever has a habit of reciting the Quran all the time, فَأَكْمَلَهُ وَعَمِلَ بِهِ, and they try to memorize whatever they can of it, they try to understand its tafsir, and they try to do amal upon it, try to act upon it. What happened to them on Yawm al-Qiyamah? أُلْبِسَ وَالِدَاهُ تَاجًا يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ. That person who recites the Quran all the time, tries to memorize whatever they can of it, tries to learn the tafsir, the meaning of it, and tries to act upon it thereafter, their parents will be made to wear a crown. They will be the royalty on Yawm al-Qiyamah, not the temporary kings and queens of this world. And then He said sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, ضَوْءُهُ أَحْسَنُ مِنْ ضَوْءِ الشَّمْسِ فِي بُيُوتِ الدُّنْيَا لَوْ كَانَتْ فِيكُمْ. That the light of that crown which your parents will get on Judgment Day, if you devote yourself to the Quran, its light will be greater than the light of the sun when it comes out in the morning and it brightens up all our houses. And then He sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said that this is the honor of the parents, that in front of the entire humankind, from Adam alayhi salam until the last person who will be born before Yawm al-Qiyamah, your parents will be treated like royalty in front of all of them. And then He sallallahu alayhi wa sallam went on to say, فَمَا ظَنُّكُمْ بِالَّذِي عَمِلَ بِهَذَا. Then if this is the reward of the parents, what do you think will be the reward of the actual person who made all the effort towards Quran? The honor that they will be given, the way that they will be treated like royalty on that day, and in Jannah will be much greater than that. So yes, we do mention the good qualities of the royal family, and we pray for the guidance of people around us. We see, for example, that Prince Charles has many good things to say about Islam. He said in 1993, in a famous speech that he gave in Oxford, Prince Charles said that Islam is part of our past and part of our present in every field of human endeavor. And Prince Charles went on to say that Islam has helped to create modern Europe. It is part of our inheritance and not a thing apart. And then he finished by saying that Islam can teach us today a way of understanding and living in the world which Christianity itself is the poorer for having been lost. So we pray for the guidance of these people as well. But we remember that ultimately we want to be treated like royalty in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the famous Quran reciter, Imam Hamza al-Zayyad. So we have 10 qira'at of the Quran. So you can say, وَالضُّحَى وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا سَجَى. There's another qira'ah which says, وَالضُّحَى وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا سَجَى. The Warsh recitation. So one of the great Imams of the qira'at is Imam Hamza al-Zayyad. Imam Hamza, when I'll finish with this, so his student came to him one day and he found him in tears of joy. So the student of Imam Hamza said that, why are you crying? What's making you cry tears of joy? So Imam Hamza al-Zayyad, somebody who dedicated his whole life to the Quran and teaching it and teaching the qira'at, he said that I had this most fantastic dream where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala showed me my state on Yawm al-Qiyamah. That when everybody was there, Yawm al-Qiyamah, and everybody was frightened and terrified, I was summoned into the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by himself. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he honored me by placing me on a throne of precious diamonds and jewels. It was white and yellow and green. The beauty of that throne was beyond words. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made me sit in that throne, and he told me to recite certain verses, certain surahs of the Quran. And then he asked the angels to put musk on me, a very expensive ghaliya musk. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told him that this is how I've honored you. I will honor everybody before you and after you who dedicate themselves to my words, to the Holy Quran. And tell them as well that what's greater than this, being treated like royalty, being put on this expensive throne, what's greater than this is that you can tell those people that I love them. And the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the King of Kings, is what we ultimately are all aiming for. So anybody who wants their parents to be treated like royalty on Yawm al-Qiyamah, and anybody who wants to be treated like that themselves, then we need to dedicate ourselves to the Quran and to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Malik Yawmiddin, the King of Kings. We pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala helps us to act upon what's been said. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help all of us inshallah today. If we haven't done so far, when you go home, read 10 ayahs of Al-Kahf with your children and read some salawat. Inshallah, may Allah bless your children who have purer hearts than us with the vision of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, if they are consistent with the salawat, especially on Fridays as he ordered us to. And also in these days when we are being bombarded with these Jubilee celebrations, we should also remember as parents that it's very important for us to teach our children the phenomenal Muslim kings and queens who we had in our history, the likes of Salahuddin Ayyubi, the likes of Muhammad al-Fatih, Sultan Mahmud Ghaznavi. We have so many phenomenal individuals who were kings and who were also saints, and yet our children know very little about them. So today and this weekend, try to teach your children, inshallah, about these very saintly kings, like Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, who in his time, in his 2 years that he was ruling, it is said about him that he ended poverty in his reign. He ended poverty in his empire. We have so many kings and presidents nowadays, they cannot seem to end poverty. There are 30,000 children who die every day from poverty. Umar bin Abdul Aziz, when he implemented the zakat, the collection and distribution, the people would go around his empire and they could not even find anybody who was willing to take zakat money, because people were that wealthy, they were that affluent. So these are the kind of stories that we should be teaching our children to honor the great saintly kings and queens of our past. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us to act upon what's been said. So inshallah we will recite sunnahs now. So can we all come forward please? We will perform the sunnahs, and inshallah after that we'll have the Jama'ah.